The radar screen went dark for everyone else. Only one country knew it was coming. In the pre-dawn silence above the desert, a web of sensors blinked to life, painting an invisible dome across the Middle Eastern sky. Beneath that dome, buried in sand and steel, mobile launchers rolled into formation. Their target: anything that dared to fly. This is the S-500 Prometheus, and this is how Russia quietly built a no-fly zone over the Middle East. The first clue didn't come from a missile launch or radar pulse. It came from silence, the kind of silence that follows a shift in balance. Western pilots began reporting unusual radar reflections near the eastern Mediterranean. Drones vanished mid-flight, satellite feeds flickered. Somewhere in the electromagnetic haze, Russia had just drawn a new line in the sky. The S-500 was born not from theory but from paranoia. After the 1990s, when the West dominated the air, Moscow knew the next war would be won, or lost, above the clouds. The Prometheus system, first revealed around 2021, was built to erase that imbalance. On paper, it could shoot down aircraft, cruise missiles, even low-orbit satellites. In practice, it was a declaration. The era of unchallenged air power was over. Now, years later, the system that once guarded Moscow's skies is extending its reach. The Middle East, long a theater of overlapping air forces, proxy wars, and drone swarms, has become the perfect testing ground. Piece by piece, radar grids, mobile launchers, and support vehicles have moved south, some visible, most not. Russia hasn't announced a no-fly zone. It doesn't need to. It's building one by presence alone. The technology behind the S-500 is ruthless in its purpose. Each battery carries multiple interceptors designed for different threats. One for aerodynamic targets like jets and drones, another for high-speed ballistic or hypersonic weapons. Its radar can see hundreds of kilometers beyond the horizon, tracking dozens of objects simultaneously, calculating interception points in mere seconds. In simpler terms, it can see, think, and kill faster than most adversaries can react. Imagine you're a pilot on a mission. Altitude 12,000 meters, night sky ahead, no lights, no chatter. Then your radar warning receiver chirps once, faint but unmistakable. Somewhere out there, 300 kilometers away, a Prometheus battery has seen you. You don't know where it is, but you know what it means. One wrong maneuver, one burst of engine heat, and you're within reach of the most advanced air defense missile Russia has ever fielded. That psychological weight is part of the system's power. Deterrence isn't just about firing, it's about making the sky itself hostile. In Syria, where Russian forces operate from the Hmeimim air base, layers of S-300 and S-400 batteries already create a dense defensive web. Add an S-500 into that network, and the result isn't just protection. It's air denial. Any unauthorized aircraft entering the region must assume it's already targeted. The Middle East is the crucible of modern aerial warfare. Iranian drones, Israeli jets, American reconnaissance flights, Turkish UAVs, each shares the same crowded sky. A system like the S-500 doesn't just monitor this chaos, it shapes it. The moment it's switched on, flight corridors bend, mission profiles change, and commanders think twice. Even the threat of detection alters strategy. But the S-500 doesn't work alone. It feeds on data. Drones, satellites, and electronic warfare units that widen its view. Russian engineers have spent years refining this digital ecosystem. The Prometheus battery links with over-the-horizon radar stations, tracking objects from hundreds of kilometers away. When paired with electronic warfare systems, it can jam incoming guidance, scramble enemy radar, and even mislead stealth aircraft into revealing their signatures. This fusion of missile defense and cyber warfare forms what military analysts now call a hybrid denial bubble. Inside it, traditional air tactics fail. Drones lose GPS, aircraft can't lock targets, missiles veer off course. It's not a wall, it's fog, but deadly. The first open-source sightings of S-500 components beyond Russia came around 2024, when Ukrainian intelligence reported a unit positioned in Crimea, allegedly to shield the Kerch Bridge and the Black Sea corridor. Official confirmation never followed, but satellite imagery showed the telltale launchers and radar arrays. That deployment proved one thing. The system could travel, deploy fast, and integrate with existing networks. If it could reach Crimea, it could reach Syria, or anywhere else Moscow wants to project power. Across the Middle East, radar signatures began to shift. Analysts noticed changes in Russian air defense coverage near the eastern Mediterranean, suggesting a new high-altitude sensor operating quietly in the background. It could have been a trial, or it could have been the Prometheus stretching its reach. Either way, regional militaries took note. To understand why this matters, look at the nature of modern conflict. Air dominance has been the West's cornerstone for decades. From Iraq to Libya, control of the sky meant control of the ground. But the S-500 flips that equation. It says, you can have the planes, we'll control the airspace. Its long-range missiles can intercept targets at altitudes of up to 200 kilometers, skimming the edge of space. That means even high-altitude reconnaissance or hypersonic glide vehicles are not safe. And for drones, the workhorses of modern conflict, the impact is profound. Low-flying UAVs rely on small radar cross-sections and terrain masking to survive. The Prometheus radar, however, uses multi-band tracking to spot them, even against complex backgrounds. Its computer can distinguish a drone swarm from birds or debris in real time. It doesn't need to fire. It just needs to see. Once seen, the swarm loses surprise, and the battle's tempo collapses. Now imagine the regional ripple. In Israel, air commanders planning deep strike operations must factor in longer standoff distances. In the Gulf, American drones tasked with surveillance risk early detection. For Turkey, which depends heavily on UAV warfare, new electronic interference could compromise control links. Every actor adjusts, every strategy bends. That's how a silent system changes a region. The real genius of the S-500 isn't just in its hardware, it's in its symbolism. Each launcher on desert sand sends a message. This airspace is spoken for. Without firing, it redefines sovereignty. Russia's ability to project that power far from its borders marks a strategic evolution. Instead of deploying large numbers of troops, it deploys radar and deterrence. A digital empire of the skies. There's also a political layer. By offering its air defense umbrella to allies or clients, Moscow binds them closer. Nations that host Russian systems become dependent on Russian maintenance, training, and satellite support. Every radar pulse carries not just military protection, but political leverage. In a region where alliances shift like sand, that's priceless currency. Still, the S-500's record isn't beyond question. Independent verification of its full capabilities is scarce. Some Western analysts argue that the system is still maturing, that its exo-atmospheric interceptors are few, its production slow. But war is as much perception as reality. If adversaries must assume the system can hit them, then it's already doing its job. And that's the essence of modern deterrence. Not what you fire, but what you make others fear to fire. The S-500 isn't just a missile battery. It's psychological warfare packaged in steel. Picture the scene in motion. A U.S. reconnaissance drone drifts high over the Mediterranean, its sensors mapping coastal defenses. Far below, on a dusty Syrian plain, a radar dish turns silently, catching the faint echo of its wings. A truck door slams. Operators call coordinates. Missile tubes tilt skyward. Then, no launch. Just a lock-on. A moment of awareness. A message across the ether. We see you. The drone banks away. Mission aborted. Not a single missile spent. This is how a no-fly zone is born. Not through declarations, but through deterrence. Layer by layer. A zone built not of borders but of probabilities. Meanwhile, the rest of the world watches. China studies the system's integration for its own missile shield. Western contractors race to counter it with new stealth coatings, jamming pods and hypersonic platforms. Israel accelerates its Arrow 4 program. The U.S. Air Force tests extended-range anti-radiation missiles designed to hunt Prometheus-class radars. The arms race loops again, spiraling upward. In the shadows, the game continues. Cyber units probe Russian command networks, seeking vulnerabilities. Russian operators adapt, closing digital doors, reinforcing encryption. Each side learning, evolving. War without gunfire, fought in frequencies and code. Back on the ground, the Prometheus convoy keeps moving. The trucks blend into the terrain, radar masts folding and rising with mechanical precision. They park, scan, reposition, never staying in one place long enough for satellite eyes to memorize. Every move says, "We are watching, but you will never know from where." The desert wind rises, sweeping across launchers, radar dishes, and silent crews. Above them, the sky is empty. Not because no one can fly, but because no one dares to. The S-500 is more than a weapon. It's a doctrine. It represents the shift from air power to air denial, from offense to omnipresent defense. And that doctrine is spreading. The more uncertain the skies become, the stronger the system's shadow grows. Perhaps that's the real shockwave. Not a blast or explosion, but an invisible ripple reshaping strategy, diplomacy, and fear itself. Nations will adapt. Some will resist. Others will buy in. But the message has been sent. The airspace over the Middle East will never again be uncontested. And as that truth settles over the region like dust over a battlefield, the question for the next decade becomes simple. Who truly controls the sky? The one who flies, or the one who decides who cannot? This has been Ballistic Beacon, delivering fast, precise, and reliable conflict intelligence. Subscribe now for real-time defense updates and battlefield analysis. Stay informed, stay aware, and stay one step ahead of the next shockwave.